Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today I actually started using TradingView. I'm kind of testing it out, seeing how it feels relative to Webull, which is what I was using earlier. So let me know what you guys think, but I think this can give us a couple more different ways to look at the chart, which I think will be good. But either way, let's just jump right into it. So Tesla, you can see here, ending the day, I mean, down only 0.84%, which really isn't that bad when you take into account just how unbelievably atrocious this day was for the market. This day was like horrific for the market, like truly a nightmare. Like the QQQ was down 4.5%, 4.5% for the QQQ, ending well below this area, which I personally didn't want to see it drop below. The SPY's really just not much better. It's better. It is better. It's not much better, but it is better. At least, you know, it's not below this area so far, which is this low here from, I think this was the war even. Jesus. We're like back at the level we were at when the war started. Like, what the fuck? That's freaking insane, man. But anyway, so absolutely like nightmare on Elm Street kind of day for the market. I am still a little bit sick, so I'll make this video relatively quick, but nonetheless, guys, so taking a look at Tesla again. So ending the day at 870. So I am buying 100 shares. I did sell, might be sneezing soon, but I did sell a put. I took a couple losses when Tesla ran up to like the 920s. I'm gonna sneeze. One sec, guys. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm still sick, so I'm gonna make this quick. Anyway, doesn't matter what I did. The point is I'm buying 100 shares of Tesla, and even then I'm still like 70% cash or something like that. I'm not like going all in just yet. It's just I don't trust it yet. But anyway, the point is that Tesla is still looking a little bit strange. So one thing that this TradingView has, which is cool, is gives us this volume profile, which gives us like an area, an idea as to where like the majority of the volume is. Essentially, what this means is that if we essentially broke past this level and like, you know, like 430 to 450, somewhere in that range, if we broke past that and we entered that like, you know, 460-ish range, it would have been pretty easy to get back up to like 470, something like that. But the fact that we couldn't is pretty bad. You can see here, same thing here, like, you know how we kept getting rejected here? It's because it's like right at the top of this volume, right? There's still a lot of volume, a lot of people selling clearly here. But then it's kind of like if you get past it, you can see you can actually get right back up to this level pretty quickly where, you know, the more volume starts and that's where people can start potentially selling again. It's kind of like, think of it as a resistance or even support on the way down. It gives us another way to like look at the market, which I think is pretty useful on this specific trading app, which I think would be pretty cool. But nonetheless, excuse me, let's take a quick look at how things are looking. So taking a look at the RSI super fast. Where is it? Here it is, RSI. Hold a sec. My nose is like super runny and sniffly and everything. The RSI is still looking bearish, honestly, for the most part. The RSI is really not looking too much better. So nothing really to say there. It's about the same as yesterday. It's still sideways. It doesn't really know if it wants to go full bearish mode yet, but it's definitely looking like it wants to start leaning towards the bearish area again. The MACD on the daily, actually surprisingly not looking too much more bearish. It's about the same as yesterday, even though I mean today was kind of a bullish day for Tesla, but MACD is still not looking too much more bearish, so that's looking fine. But all in all, pretty much what I expected to happen happened, right? I did say how I expected Tesla. Oh, I forgot I haven't added the proper thing yet on the weekly. I did say how I expected Tesla to pretty much go up to, okay, well, I'll just add it after. I'm not gonna add it while I'm doing the video. I expected Tesla to go up to like that 930-ish range, to 940 maybe. That's exactly what we did. We actually went up exactly to pretty much what I said, very close to it at least. We went up to, what is it, 934, right? So I did say that we'll go roughly to that area. Now, with that being said, I'm not gonna lie, the markets look bearish, but part of me thinks that like it's a little too bearish in a weird way, where it feels like people are about to get trapped. So I personally wouldn't be surprised to see Tesla potentially actually have a bullish formation setting up here and actually have a potentially fairly bullish next week, maybe like slightly bearish early in the week, but I actually wouldn't be surprised to see Tesla to go, you know, a little bit bullish next week, in all honesty, potentially going back up to 470. I actually would not be super surprised to see that. And the reason is because it's hard to explain, but something about it just tells me that Tesla should be revisiting this level, which was acted as huge support before we broke under it, naturally retested, which would make sense overall. So pretty much if we break like 440 to 450, like we're pretty much going straight to 940 to 950. We're pretty much going straight to 970. So if that breaks, that's great. Especially if we go higher than this. On top of that, Tesla is kind of setting up like a potentially like very, on the 1 hour, like smaller time frame, but a fairly bullish looking kind of inverted head and shoulders. You can see the head here, shoulder, right? So that could be pretty good for Tesla specifically, right? It can potentially have a nice rally. Now, essentially what you want to not see happen is you don't want to see Tesla break below, like, ideally like 865, but for sure not like 850. If Tesla ever breaks below 865, it's already looking sus. If it breaks below 850, it's looking extra sus. So as long as we don't break below 850, I think this head and shoulders inverted actually has a potential play to bring us back up to this level up here, which will be, of course, around at the very least to 935 again, probably break that and go up to like 970. Excuse me. That's essentially what I'm currently projecting. So taking a very quick look at the weekly, you can see the weekly candle isn't looking the best in the world, in all honesty, right? Not the not the most bullish weekly candle. The volume is pretty decent, decent volume, but I mean there was a lot more selling than buying clearly. So that's not really good. So that's not what I like to see at all. All right, so we went up all the way up to like pretty high levels of like about 1,000. Then we just plummeted straight back. Which isn't looking good. I'm not gonna lie, it's not looking good. But we have equal wicks at the top and the bottom, though the sellers did still take control of the overall week. So essentially, guys, pretty much the main thing I'm looking for right now. Actually, let's take a look at the Bollinger Bands as well. I do like the Bollinger Bands. You guys know that I personally view it as like a good way to kind of have a decent idea. Let me just super quickly change the style of this. I want this to be green. I want the basis to be white, and I want the bottom to be red, right? So essentially, the way I personally look at it is the Bollinger Bands are overall a very decent way to also take a rough look as to what the hell Tesla might do. Usually, like I said, when Tesla's hovering one of the major sides, in this case the green or the red of the Bollinger Bands, it tends to hug it for a few days ish, and then it tends to bounce back up to like the white part of the area. So, which is why I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of pain, maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday, potentially go to like 865, maybe even 850. But again, as long as like 850 and ideally 865 hold, that means Tesla will probably still continue kind of hugging the bottom part of this Bollinger Band. But then I think as that's happening, the white part, which is the center part, which is where it usually finds, that's like the mean, the medium, like the average. It'll probably come back down to like this kind of 970 level roughly, which is essentially where I expect the resistance to be anyways, which is why I expect, it will just line up perfectly where Tesla would potentially fall back down, have a little bit of weakness, continue hugging the red side of the Bollinger Band. The white part will still be coming down a little bit, and then it will get probably a nice bounce after the FOMC meeting. I think it's an FOMC meeting, but essentially the Fed is talking on, I believe it's Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday, but it's Tuesday or Wednesday. And they're doing that, I think that the basis point hike, the rate hike. As long as it's not more than 50, if it's 50 and then somehow by some miracle it's 25, but if it's 50, I actually think that could be a short-term bullish bounce. And I think we can actually potentially, for Tesla, run up to potentially, again, that roughly 970 level. That's essentially the level I'm looking for. At the moment, that seems impossible. It really does. But to be fair, when we were rallying up here, like just through technical analysis, I knew we would drop, but it still felt impossible. Like it felt like, man, like what could possibly move Tesla back all the way down here? Well, clearly we're back here already. So it's like the market tends to be irrational. It tends to be very violent, especially nowadays. So it's just, don't expect the most obvious outcome all the time, in my opinion. Again, I could be completely wrong, not financial advice, of course, but I'm not gonna lie when I say the QQQ looks frigging atrocious. Like this thing looks hideously ugly. It did set a lower low, which isn't great. So in other words, if this happens for Tesla, all that's gonna happen for the QQQ is that we're essentially gonna be setting a lower high, right? We went up here, set a lower low, lower high, lower low. This was actually technically a higher high, but not really by much. Now we set a lower low. I mean, this is arguably the same high, lower low, and then we're probably going to run up and set a lower high somewhere maybe to like this general area, like 350, 340, 350 to 340 to 350 is the area I would expect to bounce on the QQQ. Just as everyone's getting bearish and everyone's like buying puts and everyone's just full bear mode, the market just flips and just completely just soaks up those premiums, which is also very possible. But that's essentially what I'm seeing for the market right now and for Tesla, guys. Again, pretty damn hideous. I'm not gonna lie, not looking too good. The market in general is looking like quite ugly, actually. But for something about it just tells me that I think we might get one more relief bounce. one more relief bounce, Tesla back to 970, I think is like the realistic best case scenario. Now, the flip side, let's take a quick look at the flip side just in case, right? If something happens, like what would be the realistic worst case scenario? Like what if that doesn't play out? What if we just continue plummeting? What would be the cause of that? Or what would be the thing that you want to look out for to confirm that? The first and foremost, again, like I said, is 850. If 850 breaks, expect a retest of this low here around the 820s. If that breaks though, if the 820s break and we fall all the way back down to 800, you damn well better hope that 800 holds. If 800 doesn't hold, we're off to the races to 780. If 780 doesn't hold, we're probably going back to 750. If 750 doesn't hold, we're back down to 700. And if 700 doesn't hold, well, we'll talk about that when we get there. Let's just say that. That's going to be quite painful. But that's essentially the levels I'll be looking for. The first and foremost, guys, for early next week, I would definitely be looking at 850 personally. I personally do not want to see 850 break. I want to see 850 hold. And if 850 breaks, I personally would not be very happy. That would be quite painful. That would just literally suck ass. And yeah, so that essentially this right here that's happening right here is essentially kind of what happened here. How we kind of went down, boom, 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 boom. Kind of started like a, inverted head and shoulders here as well. And then we ran back up. And now, as far as I'm aware, we're still setting up an inverted head and shoulders on the daily. Yeah, we are. We still have an overall inverted head and shoulders on the daily. You can see we have the left shoulder here. We have the overall head here. And then we're setting up the right shoulder here. So, which is also another reason why, ideally, I don't want 850 to break. Because if 850 breaks and we fall all the way down here, it's still possible to hold it. But it just gets a little more sus. But more importantly, that would break the shorter term time frame, I guess, inverted head and shoulders that we have setting up right here, which I definitely want to hold. On top of that, guys, the final thing I want to talk about is, of course, the volume. The volume isn't too bad today. We did sit at about 28 million volume, which is definitely lower than the other days, but not substantially. It's still decent volume. Elon did confirm he was selling the days where we just completely dropped and plummeted. But he also confirmed that there's no more sales happening. So yeah, that's essentially what I'm seeing, guys, for early next week. I think early next week we might have a little bit of a chop, potentially fall down to like 865, maybe 850. I want those to hold, and as long as those hold, I actually think there's a chance that we might have a little bit of a short-term bear rally. In other words, I think it'll be a fake rally. I think it'll be a rally to trap more bulls, because we're currently going to be trapping some bears, then we're going to have a rally to trap some more bulls, and then we're going to probably fall back down, potentially even further down. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have a good weekend. I'll see you for the next one. Peace.